buy in the right range, or the maybe a similar range. But you're going to see that this is all how you want to create your blue water. But it is no longer really a question as to whether or not you charge fees. It is a professional, it's what professionals do, charge for your services. And that's, so that's how we kind of approach it. I wanted to show you kind of a combination of a couple different things. One is how it is that the process.
Helen, one second. There's no photography for this.
Oh,
These
yeah,
are
sorry.
examples. These are, of course, belong to agencies, so you can't take any screenshots or anything else of this.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you for saying something.
Yeah, okay. So I wanted to share with you a couple of different things. One is how different companies present the process and how it is that they describe it. Brownell is, one of the premier agencies in Virtuoso, a wonderful company. They've been around for over 100 years. And they were very much on the forefront of helping to distinguish this process itself. But they took it and made it their own. So they call it Discover More. And they have it as a 5-part series. So the design, we reach out and help to develop an itinerary. We connect with our reservations and finalized, with your travel advisor. The experience on your voyage of discovery, etc. Share, welcome home, etc. And again, start with discover. So that's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-part process. One of the things that they're not mentioning is to stay in touch, which is not anything that you would want to share with your clients, because that's sort of the surprise and delight side of things. And then they describe it as Discover More is our collaborative experience for clients who understand that travel is more than merely taking a trip. All right? Our role is to become your trusted advisor for your most treasured resource, your time.
The power's on. The mute button's probably on. Yeah, that's his.
Discover More is our collaborative experience for clients who understand that travel is more than merely taking a trip.
Hold on, I can't hear.
Our role is to become your trusted advisor for your most treasured resource, your time away.
Sorry, we're still not picking up on the microphone, so let me just look at that and then let me just check it again.
What's going on up there?
Testing. Maybe I got dead batteries.
The mute is off.
Mute is off?
Yeah.
Just keep talking now.
Just keep talking.
Technology. Yeah.
Technology. Are my batteries dead?
Now let me sit back.
Yep.
It's off. Now it's turned on. Yeah, you got plenty of power.
Okay, all right, here we go. Okay. So one of the things that you might want to do is think about how can you personalize that little Microsoft, format that we have it in, and make it something that's your own. Again, Jay will show you an example of how somebody, one of your colleagues, one of your VCTA colleagues, has taken this and presented it in her website, so that it's something that people can refer to. And again, it becomes a consistent now all the way through Brownell. This is how it is that they approach travel for all of their advisors and all of their clients. But when it comes to what's included, all right, here's an example from, again, a Virtuoso agency. And so here's this kind of pivot to collaborate, essentially. As a boutique travel consultancy, we curate and execute a full range of services. From bespoke to basic, we guide our clients for everything from planning a destination birthday party, to a honeymoon, to book a flight in Paris or a hotel reservation. In other words, we do it all, right? We advise clients through every step from the seed of an idea, discover, until they've come back again, share. Orchestrating everything from the big picture, the hotels, the guides, the transfers, that's the design process, to the details, dining reservations, special access. I love this. We function as a combination of analyst, guide, and travel therapist, okay? Providing ideas, inspiration, and insider trips. Now, here's what's included. And if you don't say what this stuff is, they have no idea. Personalized travel and air consulting. Now that seems pretty obvious to you and me, but not to everybody. So point it out. Customized itinerary planning, including private guides, special access, dining. Seems obvious to us, but not to them. Celebrations and retreats. Handcrafted itineraries. All clients receive the benefit of our preferred rates and client programs. American Express, Virtuoso, Four Seasons, Ritz-Carlton, Belmond, Bellini, Dorchester Diamond. All the things that your agencies are a part of, own it. You know, let people know that you have that kind of thing. And they even say what the special amenities typically include: a complimentary breakfast, maybe room upgrades, airport transfers, typically spa credits. Not what it is, but these are some of the ideas. They talk about their air consulting. Our clients appreciate the wise assistance of our seasoned advisor here, and old Jeff here, 16 years in the business and so on. And a service fee of, I think it says 65 there, something like that, applies per airline ticket. Mileage service fees of $250 per person are billed at the time of the request and are non-refundable. Very clear, okay? You're going to find that that managing mileage tickets are a colossal pain in the rear. The other thing that you might do, and I was actually I called on the advice of one of our Virtuoso advisors, and asked him. I said, "What do you recommend, or how do you handle?" Because I was going to use miles myself to travel to Europe this summer. And he said, to all of my clients, I give them this number, you know, and I think it's called Awards Plus or something like that. And for a fee, with this awards company, that's all they do, is I booked, you know, I said, here's how many points I've got, here's who I've got them with, here's where I want to go, here's when I want to go. And they came back and said, okay, here it is, here's how much it'll cost you, and here's what our fee is. Done. And I had the benefit of knowing that it was a good, reliable company, that's all they do is handle awards. So something for you to consider. Here's another example of how someone describes what it is that they do. We design detailed custom itineraries for individuals, families, whether personal holiday. We look at travel as a work of art. And then she goes on to explain, it starts with an empty canvas. We plot the destination points. Slowly the canvas is elaborated with an itinerary, adding texture and color. A balance is struck between activity and rest, simplicity and grandeur. I mean, this is a very personal way of describing it, but that's exactly what she does. We take time to discuss your needs and interests to create the itinerary that accurately reflects your vision. Not my best ideas, but reflects your vision, owing our reputation in the industry, the professional of our staff, and our own experiences as devoted travelers. You can be assured of a consistently fine service. And it's connected to a wonderful network of fascinating people around the world, you know, that open new worlds to you in unimaginable dimensions, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So find your language that reflects you. That's what's going to attract people, is your own language. Here are some of the fees and so on that you should be considering. And you might...
Can we take a picture of this one?
You can take a picture of this one. You can take a picture of this one. Okay?
Just when you
Yeah.
can't write fast enough.
Yeah. And,
Just can't write fast enough.
and this kind of covers all of it here too. So what you want to do is you want to look at airline ticketing. Are you charging for it? Are you not charging for it? How much? For a straight ticket? For frequent flyer? International, is that different than domestic? Car, how much are you going to charge for booking a car? Or are you? And why? Why? So one of the things that you have to stop and realize, even with cars, is that you have, as an advisor, you know the difference between maybe where National is located versus where Avis is located. You have access to special opportunities. This is where your advice becomes valuable. So you can choose on that. Rail tickets, hotel research and booking fees. How many of you spent a good bit of time already researching hotels? Yeah. So, and it's like, oh, well, we get paid a commission for it. It's like, really? How about all your time? Right. Cruise booking, the same thing. I get a lot of kids say, oh, well, we get enough off of our cruise and so on. It's like, yeah, well, who is it that's helping people decide between Regent and Silversea and Crystal, or in different or in the Antarctica? Who are you going to choose in Antarctica, and why? What do you know about ice-hardened hulls, or icebreaker hulls, or A1A hulls, or who's got how much experience in Antarctica? Things like that. That's the advice that people are paying you for. A package tour, which might be like a Tauk tour, or a Globus, and being able to distinguish between which is which and why you're doing that. The retainer fee. So this is a predetermined access fee. So you may charge an annual retainer for clients. You may charge, you may call it a retainer for this particularly complicated trip, but it's based on a certain amount of access. A retainer is. So you put a lawyer on retainer. They're going to describe to you how much access that means, right? So you can think of it that way. Plan to go, we were talking about this earlier. It's charged and then it goes towards the final payment if it's booked, and it results in some commissions being paid. So if you're doing a plan to go fee for something, and there's very little in the way of commission that's coming in because maybe you're piecing it together, on your own, or you're, a number of the things aren't even commissionable. And now you're going to give back that planning fee? Think about it. Think about how that might work, if that makes sense. If you're being paid a commission on the things that is enough, then that's one thing. But if it's not, that's something else. Cancellations, refunds, and exchanges. What are you charging on that front? All of those things take time and effort. Processing, printing, postage, FedEx fees, your UPS. How are you handling that? Document creation. And then your time. What are you charging for your time? There's a great story of one of our really great advisors in the industry, and she's been in the industry for quite some time as a virtuoso advisor, and she hadn't heretofore charged fees at all. Okay, this is kind of taking it back a couple, a little beyond 10 years or so ago. And so she was just kind of like, well, this is nuts, kind of dealing with some of these clients that we were talking about this morning, like, this is crazy. So she marched into her boss's office and said, I'm giving myself a promotion. And so she did. She gave herself a promotion. She went out to all of her customers and said, you are going to be so excited. I have received a promotion. I'm now the senior, la-di-da consultant, at our agency. And everyone was like, oh, Arlene, I'm so proud of you. You're so deserving. Oh my gosh, you just do fabulous things. I said, I know, I'm so excited. And what that also means is that I will now be charging $100 an hour. And then they were like, yay. But one of the things that she was also actually looking to do was not only distinguish herself out there and speak to the fact that her services were well worth $100 an hour, but also one of the things that she was looking to do is some of the things that we were talking about this morning. Some of these clients that really, lovely people, love it, but it really wasn't in her wheelhouse. She ended up, something like a fourth of her business went away. Just kind of quietly went away. But what happened is that the people who stayed with her, who did stay with her, now referred business to her based on being able to say, and just so you understand, Arlene bills out at $100 an hour. Well, her fees are now up over $200 an hour that she charges. And she's got more business than she can handle. So don't think that this isn't possible out there. Here's an example of a kind of a sliding scale. Okay, our base consulting, planning, and booking fees range from $195 to $675, right? This is a couple years ago too. No photos.
No photos.
Yeah.
Okay.
Per couple, they specialize in honeymoons. Depending on your destination and the length of travel, everyone receives a complimentary initial consultation with their travel advisor. So everyone gets a discover, right? To become a client and start in your program, we require the minimum $195 that they call a plan to code deposit, which will be applied to your total fee. Okay? So I'm going to take a deposit to get started, and I'm going to apply that to the total fee, depending on what we're doing. So the balance of your planning fee will be charged once you have signed off on your final itinerary. And here's the table below. So if it's a single destination, single location, 8 days or less, $195, up to 30 days or more, $450. Multiple locations, it starts at $250 up to $550. South Asia and South Africa and so on, South America, starts at $350 up to $650. Europe, New Zealand, Russia, North and Southeast Africa, etc., and so on. The above fees are per trip in US dollars. Good to designate that. Trip length includes the days in transit.
Yeah, otherwise they don't count.
Okay, right. So all of these things are very well defined. If combining 2 or more destinations, planning fees will be the higher of the 2. And for trips of 30 days or longer, other fees may apply, so please consult with us. So it's very cut and dry. Here's what it is. It's a little grid. It's on their website.
So if I'm understanding this correctly, if it is one of those 8 days or less, Canada, Caribbean, for which they charge $195.
Right.
They only have the plan to go that goes toward the total fee, which means they don't get a planning fee separately. But if it's higher,
No.
they do.
So if the $195 is the plan to go fee deposit essentially.
Right.
And if they go to the Caribbean and it's a single destination for 8 days or less, then that $195 covers it.
Right, so they don't get any other additional money.
No, they won't be charged any other additional fee. If it was 10
Got
days,
it.
then it would be another,
I just want to make sure I was
$60.
understanding part of it.
Right, exactly. So that's how they do it. But they also are very clear about what's included. And also what's, not only what's included, but additional things to think about. So document shipping and handling, okay? Usually about $20 or $25. Initial planning between 45 and 14 days before departure, when you have to drop everything and work on their trip. Because now you've got to find things out. So they've got an additional fee there. Initial planning within 14 days, the fee is based on the nature of the request. Okay, planning initiated after the 1st of July for the holidays of December 15th to January 5th.
Who had the one that just asked for a Christmas? Yeah.
Right. So this would be an example of my usual fee is $250. Because it's after the 1st of July, it's another $100 because you're going to have to drop everything to do this. Non-emergency assistance outside of regular business hours, $50 per request. How do you bill that? You put it on an invoice. Yeah. And you record it just like your lawyer would.
Right.
You know, just like anybody else would. You know, here's the time I spent doing this, boom. Here's the time for this, boom, and you put it out there. And you can only do this if you have revealed this to begin with.
Right.
No surprises here,
Right.
no like hidden costs. Flight analysis, recommendations for frequent flyer miles, 50 to 2 airline tickets, whatever. Flight analysis when you're using Amex Platinum, okay? Working with a senior advisor, they had a different price here. But here's also what's important, what's included. 100% customized, tailored based on your individual interests and budget. Assistance with choosing destinations, like, duh. But people don't understand that. You know, if you don't distinguish it, that assumption becomes valueless. So assistance for choosing destinations, lodges, transportation, booking and reconfirmation, all that stuff in the reserve process. Concierge level service throughout, advice and assistance on all things related, dining, spa, travel insurance. Full access to you during that time period. Personalized departure packet. Peace of mind while traveling. That's that sort of, somebody's got your back. Peace of mind while traveling with a 24-hour backup system. Most of your agencies have somebody or a service that they have for 24/7 backup. So find out about that. They happen to specialize in honeymoons, so I thought this was interesting.
Yeah.
For new honeymoon clients, there's a complimentary planning and booking of a first anniversary getaway. Okay, if taken within 18 months. So again, it's not open-ended, it's not 5 years from now, but it's if within 18 months, and trips for, so some of the US, Canada, and so on. So they've been very clear about all these wonderful things that are included. And that's a very important thing. Somebody had mentioned that, was it you, Brianna, or maybe it was Yanni, who was saying that she finishes with that conversation, here's the recap, boom, out goes fee schedules, out goes everything that's included, and so on. This is that back of the office stuff that you want to have in place and ready to roll.
Yeah, this may sound like a stupid question, but all of these things, I understand that they're expensive and they need to be specified. Is it better to make sure that those things get covered in the planning fee and then it just says they're included so you don't have to add them on like little, I don't know, I was just wondering what people think when they see that part. I get the 200 per hour cost, but all of
Right.
those kinds of things?
You can do it however you want to.
No, I'm just wondering
Yeah.
what people might think about.
Some do it as an all-inclusive,
Uh-huh.
for this $500 or $1,000, here's what's included.
Okay.
That, what's included is shipping and handling of your travel documents. What's included is is last minute planning, whatever it might happen to be. So you can include it however you want to.
If we're not taking a photo of this, is this somewhere that we could look at it to get ideas, like somewhere printed or listed somewhere else?
Well, these are all from websites.
Oh, their website.
Yeah, yeah,
But
these
I
are
mean,
all.
would we get this website there, or if we want to say, oh, that's a good thing to add in, or that's a great idea, to be able to, if we can't take a photo or anything.
I want you to just kind of take notes and remember.
Just take
these are-
whatever
these
notes,
are important
I
things.
wrote myself a note. I've been on
Yeah, I was
research
taking
tours
some
as a
notes, I
travel
just
partner.
wanted
Can't get it fast.
Yeah, I mean, I can't
Right,
get
fast.
Right.
Also, are there any, or have you maybe personally come across any good ways to navigate fees or fee structure when you're in a state like we are, for those of us who live in Florida or other states with the federal travel? We can't collect, fees
All kinds of
on
things.
our,
As a seller of travel, you can collect fees.
the client can't pay us directly.
Well,
They should be paying your agency.
Right, what's that?
Depends on your
You have to do it through your agency.
Yeah, so
Ours too.
does that impact, Jennifer, you think at all, like how we would set any of this up? Or you just know that whatever it's just gotta go through the agency?
Exactly.
Got it, okay.
Yeah, as far as the
So the
collection of
agency
it.
should do this rather than us.
No, you're doing this, but you're collecting it
No,
by
that's just
way of
for
your
us.
agency,
Yeah.
depending on the state that you're in. And you guys are California,
California.
right?
Yeah, we're
So,
in the same-
but your agency is in Chicago.
Chicago, yeah,
Right,
so.
so you need to talk with them about
But
that.
I think I did see something for internet that you're not allowed to charge a surcharge claim fee for insurance. That's
Can't
one
charge a
of the-
surcharge on insurance, that might be, I don't know.
That just came out.
Hmm.
What do you need?
Yours is cutting out, we're just gonna.
Just get a commission.
Oh, okay.
But again, well, just keep it, because if we, like, say you charge a $200 fee, what if you have this commission split? If it's gotta run through your hose,
Everything
obviously.
goes, valuable things,
Not this one.
everything goes.
Talk to your agency.
Exactly.
Everybody does it a little bit differently,
Yeah.
especially with you, with ICs.
Exactly.
Because some of you have commission splits, even
Yeah.
on your fees, some of you don't.
Mhm.
You know, it's all dependent. Yeah, Brenda.
When, a customer, a potential customer sees all the fees,
Yep.
I think how everybody is looking at this is most of us are new. And we're worried that it's gonna scare them away before we even get to really
No.
work with them, because what's gonna make them not say, oh, I can book this and I'll
Myself.
save $1,000, $500.
There's nothing that's ever going to keep them from being able to say, I can do it by myself. So why not start in a place of power? Why not start in a place of confidence? And again, we're going to work on this. I know you all want the answers like right now. And you want to get them in the little chart on your spreadsheets. This is like this is my spreadsheet group, okay? But trust me that we're going to actually walk through some of these things and look into and get language around the value that you bring even at this point. Whether you've never booked a trip before in your life, the value that you bring and that is worth something. Now, it might not be $100 an hour or $200 an hour, but it does have value. And again, you can package this however you want to. You just need to be transparent about what's included in, if you're going to bundle the things, make sure that they understand what's included in that and that it has a great deal of dollar value. But we're going to get to some of that. Here was another way that someone described their process. The outline below details our process. We believe in fostering long-term relationships based on trust and sound advice. As we get to know you, a working relationship will organically evolve according to your style. Every trip begins with a conversation. The matchmaking process, that's design. Sketch the basic lines of your trip, that's design. Let's shade and color it in, that's design and reserve. The final tweaks, and shortly before you depart. So it's just put all of this into slightly different language for you to utilize. I wanted to share this with you to show you, Brenda, here's a really good example. Brand new advisor, okay, brand new IC advisor came into the business and came with, I think came from a financial services background, so he had a good understanding of kind of how this works, but spoke to the fact that you've earned your place in the world for the finer things. You have a top financial advisor, a top tax advisor, maybe even a top trainer, nutritionist, stylist. So who plans what you do with your most precious commodity, your time? Well, that would be me, okay, and my team. Another thing that I think is actually a pretty important word, and that is my team. Even if you're alone, if you're a single person sitting in your lonely little office in the basement of the third bedroom in your house, okay, you have a team. You have a team. You have your colleagues from your agency. You've got your colleagues in Virtuoso. You've got these people as part of your team. There's no reason not to speak to that. And one of these days you are going to have a team. So travel advisory partnerships, which is what he calls his client relationships, are currently restricted to recommendations by current clients and by invitation only. Okay? And this is as far as you could get in his website. So you can set yourself up wherever it is that you want to set yourself up. Now, he started off, I think his partnership started off at $10,000 retainer per customer. They could book as many trips as they wanted out of that, and he had that laid out. And so some people like to work that way. Others like to work on one trip at a time. Here's another great example of breaking down all of these different fees. So the fees, they show it that you can do it at a net costing. You know how attractive that is to a client to say, I'll work that out for you at net? People understand what net is, right? Now, that net is, I think it's in here somewhere, that net is from 20%. Remember I told you you can't live on 10%? So what they do here, and it's primarily, they just net it all out, and then they add at least 20%, 20, 25, 30% onto it, which is more reasonable, right? Research and development fee, that starts from $250. Also a very important word, from, that they're using here. It's non-refundable in the event the trip is canceled. Here they break it out, or you can do it by transaction, including cars, cruises, meal reservations, and so on. Per component, hourly consulting starts at $225 per hour. Passport and visa fees, $200. Late booking, $250. Change and cancellation from $50. The airline tickets, domestic, international ticket reissue. Okay, domestic frequent flyer, international frequent flyer. Delivery, the documents can be picked up at our office or delivered via FedEx at the client's expense. Communications, charges will be as applicable. Okay, but there you go. Cancellations. They reserve the right to charge an administrative fee of up to 15% of the cost of your trip in the event of a cancellation. This fee will be assessed over and above any airline supplier, tour company, cruise line, or other vendor penalties. So it's all across the board here of what people do. All of these are virtuoso agencies. All virtuoso agencies, and how it is that they lay it out. So is there a general fee? No. This is very much dependent on you. It's on your confidence in the value that you bring to the equation. And it's very, it's very individual. It's individual in parts of the country, what the market will bear that you think is so. But here's the other thing. Your location in the country makes no difference whatsoever anymore. It really doesn't. Because you live in Poughkeepsie, or in Topeka, or in San Francisco or Manhattan, doesn't make any difference. Your clients are going to could easily be coming from all over the world, and certainly other parts of the country. So, does this shed a little light on fees? Yeah. Yeah. So transparency is number one.
When the agencies get together in their meetings, do they ever talk about making anything consistent, or nobody wants anything just,
No. I mean, there's been a lot of conversation about this over the last 10 years. It isn't nearly as big a conversation as it was 10 years ago, as it is now. There's still people who hesitate to charge fees. People hesitate to charge fees to old clients, people that have been part of their client list for many years. And you can also choose to make sure that people understand what it is, and you can waive it, But the key to waiving it is to make sure that on the invoice it says, planning and research fee, $500 waived, and over in the column it says 0. So that they're always reminded that you waived that, or you only charged half, or whatever it might happen to be. But I will say this: don't shortchange yourself. Don't undervalue what it is that you have to offer right now. It's very hard to raise prices. It's very hard to raise prices. So don't start out too timid out there. Be bold. Be bold. Okay? Okay. So that's it for our fees. Any other comments or questions?
I can share my experience with you
Uh-huh.
really quickly.
Yeah.
That might be helpful. When I first started, I was afraid to charge fees, and then I became frustrated really quickly because I would have things that I was working on, spending a lot of time on, and then people would not finish. Like, they wouldn't complete their bookings with me. Because be like, oh, we decided to, after I had already spent a lot of time. So then I started implementing a fee, something reasonable where it showed me on their part they were committed, but enough that if they weren't feeling like we were a fit or it wasn't in the direction they wanted to go in, that they could still feel good about walking away. But it made a huge
There we go.
difference in showing that my time was valuable, that I was, putting in the effort, and that it showed commitment on their part as well.
Right, right. And I think that's, yeah, well, it is. I'll say this, despite the fact that we've got Scott here in the room as our token male, and of course Jay, and Danny, but I think it is also an issue for women. We have a very hard time putting a dollar value on the work that we do, whether in the traditional workplace or in the home. We're still paid 80 cents on the dollar, and we're still undervalued in the marketplace. And we believe it somehow. We actually, somewhere deep in our bones, we're not positive that we are, in fact, worth everything that the guy sitting right next to us is. So hopefully that ends with, with my generation, okay? But it is still out there, and we have a hard time putting a dollar value on us. But I encourage you to put a dollar value on the work that you do. It is very, very valuable. Okay, so with that in mind, let's carry on. Let's carry on. Okay, so you feel pretty good about fees? All right, good, good. Okay, so next, let's, Jay, what are we going to do next here? We've got, we're actually going to listen to a real client conversation, right?
Yes, we are.
We are, okay. Why don't you set this up?
So one of the things that we did early on is we really wanted to give you an idea of what, what a travel advisor does at work.
Whoops.
So we went out and we had, we basically went to an office of one of our top travel advisors, and you'll know her, Amanda Klimak from Largay Travel.
Largay Travel.
And so it was a conversation that she had with an actual client. You're going to get to hear the interaction of this call. So what I'd like you to do as part of this is to be Amanda and listen for key things and take notes of this conversation. Now, it is a difficult call. Now, I think the speakers work well because it's coming out of the projector, but the gentleman talks extremely fast, so I'm just going to warn you, but just try and pick up on the key things that you think would be important in this discover phase that Amanda is currently doing, okay? Right. So do your best to take notes.
And
this is the initial conversation?
This is the initial conversation. Well, she'll set this up here.
hold on a second. Something's goofy here the way it's.
Remember, it takes a moment to load in.
No, I know, but I've got like 2 versions of this sitting here. See, I've got that, I've got that.
Okay.
There we go.
There you go. No, okay.
Okay, there we go. Oops. So, listen carefully.
It's rolling.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hi, this is Ian.
Hi, Ian. It's Amanda from Largay.
Hi, how are you?
Very well. How are you?
Doing well. Sorry about the my meeting that ran over earlier this week, so sorry about that.
Oh, no problem at all. It actually worked out perfectly fine.
Okay, great.
Yeah, so tell me about what you're looking to do.
Sure. So it would be for me and my two kids, 17 and 15 at the time.
Okay.
Don't have an exact date, but it would probably be end of June, somewhere the first couple weeks of July at this period. I have to sort of narrow that down, but we can get to that later.
Okay.
And sort of three chunks to it. So sort of the key part of actually there are key parts, but in the middle is probably the hiking in Austria, and I have sort of former neighbors actually who do tours themselves. They're not doing it yet. Gave me some insight. So I think sort of in and around Innsbruck would be to do some hiking, and there's sort of two ways to do that from what I understand from them. One is sort of the hut to hut, which actually has an appeal.
Okay.
And the other is you sort of stay. It's not in Innsbruck. I forget the name of the towns, but you stay at a hotel or something, and you sort of do day trips out. So optimally, like hut to hut, I don't know how to figure that out, or something. That's sort of what would be stuff from you.
Okay.
And that would probably be, 3 days, 3 nights, or something like that. Probably not more than that. So sort of 3 days, no more than 3 nights as part of that.
Now, tell me something. Have you ever, I don't mean to interrupt, have you ever done a hiking trip with the kids before?
Yeah, so we were out in Banff and Lake Louise
Okay.
This past summer.
Okay.
And hiked into Skokie Lodge, which is about an 8-hour trek before, and it was at altitude too, so that was or higher altitude. Then hiked around there, and so that was sort of a 2 8-hour day trek, and that's sort of what sort of spurred this. Originally, we were sort of thinking about Nepal, which I've done myself, but just too hard logistically and time-wise to get that much time off of work and coordinate all of it. It's a little bit too rushed. So
Okay.
they're absolutely up for it, and physically they're very athletic anyway. So
Great. Okay. Perfect.
And then the thought was sort of in the beginning is to do part of it just sort of to get over jet lag and stuff. Is there some type of river trip? And as a kid, I did a day trip out of Heidelberg down, I think it's probably the Rhine. But, and that might be sort of again, I don't even know if they exist, candidly, but again, sort of relying on your expertise. And again, it doesn't have to be it could be, well, you understand. So a river trip, which might be, again, probably 2 nights or something, down to sort of a nice river to sort of see different pieces of Europe. And that can be France, that can be Germany, that can be Austria. I don't know where they all are.
Okay, and are you thinking with river trip, are you thinking like camping river trip, or are you thinking
sort of
more?
One of those boats, just I call it sort of a mini ship.
Okay.
And again, I don't know if you stay on board on the ship or whether they dock, in towns along the river on the way down. I'm actually open to both. I don't know what the standard piece is, but the notion is, sort of a little bit more of a, it's not a cruise ship, but whatever those river boats
Like
are.
a river cruise kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And I don't know if they have that shorter duration, so I'm sort of going to look to you to do that. If they don't, then I would probably replace that with, some city, sort of land in whatever major city and spend sort of a night or two there to get acclimated and sort of caught up before we start the hiking. And then the third piece is to end up in Paris. Again, I think for sort of 3 to 4 days. Again, sort of be sort of a high-level show them Paris, sort of the high-level, sort of all-tourist piece of that.
Now, have any of you been to Paris before?
They have not been, no.
Okay.
And again, I have as a kid.
Okay.
So they have not been there before. And I know there's a train from Innsbruck. So I did look this up. There is a train from Innsbruck to Paris. So that sort of seemed, potentially somewhat convenient. So.
Okay, perfect.
So in sort of total, sort of looking at, let's see, maybe 11 to 12 days, including travel.
Okay.
Out of Boston.
Okay, perfect. All right. And do you travel coach or first business?
I would be coach. Well, it depends, right? So, if some of it has to do with price, I think sometimes if it's an overnight, we would probably have our own compartment. Obviously, with the seats that sort of flop down into beds, we have to sort of know that if it's just a regular train, we can travel coach. That's not a problem at all.
Okay, and what about the flights?
Oh, flights is definitely coach.
Okay, perfect. All right, great. Now, you said 15 and 17, girls, boys, girl, boy?
One of each.
Okay. And the daughter is.
Yeah, we travel, and we just got back from, which is why I was sort of unavailable last week. We travel, we do a lot together.
Okay.
Just out in San Francisco and the Pacific Coast Highway.
Oh, great.
Typically, I know it's different in Europe, but in the U.S., we typically get one room
Okay.
where there's a king bed and a pull-up bed, and then we kind of just rotate, sort of how that works together. So,
Okay.
I opt with not 2 rooms because it's twice as much. So where there's a family room, and again, my friends who does these treks in Innsbruck, said, there are certain hotels, and I have to relook at the email on some of the names of them, but they are sometimes they do have family rooms, which gives us that capability. So we're not opposed to, and again, they're pretty sustainable.
Okay.
Sleeping on a pull-out couch is not. That's fine. We don't.
Okay.
They're not food for kids.
Okay. All right. Perfect. That's good to know. And is your daughter 15 or 17?
Yes, she will be 15 in July,
Okay. Great.
and my son will be 17 in April. So
Okay. Perfect. Okay.
they have passports and all that from that.
They do. Okay, great. All right, that's perfect. And I mean, Ian, if you think about this trip, what is the whole goal of this trip? Is it having a little bit of adventure, but kind of exploring together? Are you hoping to go with other people on certain parts of this, maybe a little group component, or do you guys just the 3 of you want to be together and that's it?
Flexibility. So it is how you first phrase it. And again, it's sort of what we did on other trips, because it is about having experience and memories together. To give you an example of, and I completely planned this, and it was completely overwhelming, which was great, but it's part of the reason why I'm trying to get some help this time, because
Sure.
it takes a lot of time. So the Banff and Lake Louise one.
Yep.
We did 1 day of mountain biking. We did 1 day of rock climbing. We did, a day at the Calgary Olympic Park.
Okay, so.
We did, 2 days of hiking, clearly some driving in between, looking at stuff, some stuff at Lake Louise. So again, they are outdoor kids. They want adventure.
Uh-huh.
Ironically, the San Francisco beach was probably on the low side of the adventure.
Okay.
Some hiking in the Muir Woods, and we did biking over the Golden Gate Bridge, and a lot of it was car time, which happens.
Yep.
A year before that, we went to Arizona, and we did the Grand Canyon.
Okay.
A lot of hikes in there, and in Flagstaff and places like that. So
Okay.
they are outdoor oriented, and so obviously parents is going to be walking around and seeing museums, seeing some of the sites, and I think that's what you're supposed to do there. This, for that age, to get used to it. That's fine. Innsbruck is kind of the hiking part, and the river cruise. If it's in general, I don't think we're sort of big tour people.
Uh-huh.
Understanding
Okay.
that the river cruise, by definition, you're going to be in a smaller space with other people. That's fine.
Okay.
I think Paris we would explore ourselves, and I think the hut.
Well, what's
A little bit of flexibility on there.
Yep.
If there's a group going, fine. Again, that tends to be a little bit more expensive in my experience, because
Mm-hmm.
you're paying for someone to, to do that. Not unopposed to that, because sometimes that can be fun to meet other people, but not required.
Okay. And does anybody have any special interests like photography, cooking, fashion? Is there any, is anybody like your daughter maybe or your son specifically interested in anything toward college, or, is there anything like that? Because especially in Paris, there might be.
Both very athletic and sports oriented, so I think
Okay.
it might be fun in Innsbruck if there's an opportunity there. We saw it in Calgary, for example. We did the bobsled run. We did.
Yep.
All sorts of stuff there. There's some interest from that level. Not really. They're pretty well-rounded kids. There's no, again,
Okay.
sports is the biggest. My daughter's a very good artist, but again, I think within Paris, she'll see them anyway, and that would
Right.
I wouldn't do that. And so some of the stuff that naturally fits for them, would be, my guess, would happen automatically.
Okay, great. Because what we can do.
There are opportunities to do stuff that, again, sort of the mountain biking, the, rock climbing and stuff like that.
Yep.
It doesn't have to be either of those, but those are sort of the things that, river rafting, again, that they've
Yeah.
enjoyed in the past. And if there's one of those that's planned somehow, great. I don't necessarily see that in this itinerary, but again, completely open to sort of understanding. I think the hut-to-hut hiking is sort of the athletic piece and
Yes.
adventure piece.
Yep.
Still an adventure, but
Yep.
Paris is sort of going to be you got to see Paris, the city, the culture, and then the river cruise really is more. If we end up doing that, is the getting sort of your
Sure.
caught up over jet lag before we start doing the heavier trekking stuff, and it's also fun to sort of see Europe It's more the countryside of Europe. So.
Okay, and that's something I'll really have to research as for, you know, if there's a river cruise that would allow a 2-night or a 3-night kind of thing. But what I think we can do, yep, and I think we can definitely incorporate into the itinerary some of those adventure components so that you can do, you know, possibly the bobsled run or the mountain biking and things like that, and sporadically put it into the itinerary so that you're kind of getting a flavor of a lot of different things. And I think that might be really great to do. And then we can, with Paris, I mean, we can definitely, you know, what I recommended when I was there with my daughter, what we did was we got the museum pass so we didn't have to stand in line with everyone, and I could get a feel for kind of what she wanted to do as far as how long we were staying at certain museums. We also did a private tour when we went into the Louvre, which allowed us to see the main pieces that we wanted to see, the Mona Lisa and some of the sculpture, and, you know, see the main components without spending, I mean, you could spend days there. So, you know, so maybe we can add some guides in that can really help you kind of navigate well through Paris and see the most with a limited amount of time. And, you know, there's some interesting things too, the underground, and, you know, so there's some other components that we can add in that I think will be interesting and fun for the kids, and I could give you kind of some suggestions, and then you could kind of decide if it works for you. Okay, great. So
going back to the river trip, understanding the riverside that there may not be any overnight, even if it's a one-day one. Again, I remember,
okay, just getting on the river.
It was a full day. I know we got on in Heidelberg. It was a 5th grade, so it was a while ago.
Yep.
It was sort of lasted all day, and I don't even remember where we ended up. And then I don't even know how we got to the next place what we did. But I just remember seeing sort of vividly, you know, way too many years later, you know, seeing the states and the castles, and sort of seeing sort of a European flavor from the water, which sort of neat. So again, not essential. I'm just looking at sort of a slow, you know, a slower entryway that's not overly physical. That they're tired, you know, if they fall asleep for a couple hours, you know, it's not the end of the world.
Till they get used to the time change.
Again, I don't know if that's it's not much out of Munich, but again, I don't know where those start from or end up, and then how do you get there from there, the Innsbruck area. These are also the details I have no idea about. And maybe, again, it doesn't have to be in Germany or in Austria. It can be somewhere in France.
Oh, okay, so we're not stuck. Okay, great.
Because I think we'll probably fly out of Paris is sort of what my thinking is. So whether we fly in and out or it's a hybrid, again, open to that.
Okay, perfect. That gives me a little bit more to work with on that. Do you have a budget that you want to stay within, or had you thought about that?
No, I haven't. So it's, you know, again, it's a combination of, I know those, you know, it's not youth hostel.
Right.
And at the same time, just not of the philosophy of a super high-end one either.
Okay. Do you like more boutique?
Yeah, it's more, again, it doesn't have to be super, it's just not the intent, and it's not what I sort of want to give them the flavor of, is traveling at first class. Having said, you know, we usually do, for example, the Fairmont Lake Louise, we spent, I think, one night there. So I'd like to have, you know, one flavor of that, and they react, and it's good exposure for them.
Yes.
The whole thing does not and should not be at that level. So I don't know what that, I mean, I looked at something in Scotland last year, and I want to say it ended up somewhere around 10,000 when I looked at it. So I don't know if that's sort of probably an area, but again, you're going to sort of tell me, I mean, flights alone are probably 3,600 of that. So,
well, what?
Just know that it's not high end, and we can do stuff, you know, lower end stuff as long as it's comfortable and clean. And again, I don't want to have them have a taste of. So tell me, how do you work?
So yeah, absolutely. So the way that I work in is that I will work on your trip, and I'll research everything for you, and I'll put together some suggestions on the itinerary. And once you get the itinerary, then we can talk about it. We can add things, we can subtract things, and we can kind of rework the itinerary so it really fits what you're doing. I'm also there through the whole planning process, but then while you're traveling, if you have any issues, I'm available. I can work things, you know, from this end while you're actually on the road, and then learn about, you know, what worked best. But getting to know you and your family is probably the biggest thing, so that I can make sure the activities fit. And I think I have a really, really good idea. I've specialized in family adventure travel for about 20 years. I travel with my 2 kids a lot, and we're actually going to Peru in next month, so I'm very used to that, and I know exactly what you're saying. The way that I work, I'm compensated in 3 ways. So the first way is I do charge a planning fee, which covers my time to research and go over everything. For this type of trip, my planning fee would be $150. It is non-refundable. It goes toward the trip, and that includes my time working on this. If I get to a point where I've used up that time and we've reworked the itinerary 3-4 times, I'll let you know before I do anything, anything else I'd let you know. But usually I can do that. I do get commission from some of the partners that I use. I have an expansive, a myriad of companies that I use. So, but if you have companies that your friend has suggested as well, or hotels, I'm also happy to research those to, check it out and make sure that it's something that works for you. And then referrals are my big thing. So once somebody travels with me, I love it if you tell your friends about me. So, yeah. So we can get going.
$150, understand that it's time,
Okay.
spin your wheels and people walk away, so I have no problem doing that, and understand if it doesn't all work out.
Yep.
Timing or budget-wise, that's it, and you need to get compensated, so I have no problem with $150 at all, so.
Okay, perfect.
Just tell me how
So-
you want me to, as a credit card, or how that works.
Yeah.
Tell me how that works, and that's fine with me.
Okay, great. So let me just take some information. Okay, perfect. Okay, great. Let me just get your credit card. I can do that right over the phone. And then what I'll do is I'll also send out a packet. Now, is this a surprise for the kids, or do the kids know about it?
No, they'll be part of it too, so.
Oh, great. Okay.
In general, we've talked about, again, after each of our trips, and I sort of gave you sort of some of the flavors of the last 2 trips to give you a sense of what we like to do and some of that.
Okay.
So they don't know. The only thing else we talk about is the river cruise, and some of it they obviously rely on me, and we've had really good experiences. So,
Okay.
But I'll end up sharing with them to try to, make sure it's what they want to do. There's nothing worse than
Okay, and you know what?
something that they want to do.
Sure, and you know what we can do too is if you want to add a few surprises, like, lunch on the Eiffel Tower, or, something really unique, we can keep some of it aside so that's not in the itinerary, so that you can kind of surprise them with some really cool stuff.
And
Okay.
I've done that. For example, the Fairmont or the Fairmont Lake Louise was a surprise.
Okay.
What we did see this last trip, not that it's at the same scale, but it's sort of a fun hotel, in
Yeah.
San Luis Obispo called the Madonna Inn.
Oh my gosh, I totally know it. What room did you stay
I got
in?
a funky room. The Jungle Rock,
Oh my gosh, I love it.
all true rock, and so
Yeah.
they just,
Yeah.
they love that. So I absolutely, it's sort of what I love to do is to sort of
Add something.
There's something coming up that they're going to have fun with. So.
Okay, perfect. I can totally do that. Okay, so what credit card do you want to use? Perfect. Okay, so
You send some type of agreement or something like that along with in the email.
yep, I'll send an email, outlining what I'm going to do for you. And if I were to get back to you by next Friday with kind of a first go around, would that be okay?
Yeah, that should be fine. That's okay. I know you're out.
If I can pull, I am, because I'm out at in Chicago at a meeting. If I can pull some things together ahead of time, I'll email them out just so I can get something. But just so we know that I'll get back with you.
That's fine.
Okay, perfect.
The part that's a little unclear for me is that and again, it may be very easy to find. I
Yep.
actually can't even look. It's sort of the hut-to-hut piece and how that works. So,
Yes.
Finding hotels in and around the towns. I forget which direction I'm in. Stroke. Maybe that's a little bit easier. The hut-to-hut piece is, and again, I don't know reservations, how it looks up, and blah blah blah. So.
Okay. Yeah, so if you have any info from your friend, that would be great. Send it along. And but I will work from my end to see what we can find as well. Okay?
Perfect.
Great. Well, I look forward to working with you.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. Have a good day, and I'll talk to you next week. All right, thanks.
Okay,
Bye-bye.
Wow.
Oh my God, he was talking so fast.
Yeah, now that was not actually that unusual. I mean, it was, and I know that you had to listen really closely, but yeah, and it was only 15 minutes. It's only 15 minutes, yeah.
What really struck me is that he automatically volunteered a lot of the information
Yes.
that we've been told to ask about.
Right.
He just threw
Right,
everything
right.
on the ground.
Those are all things that you want to get covered, but sometimes they just bring it all out. The kids all have passports. You know, here's what we did in the past. You know, here's my philosophy, all that sort of stuff. So yeah, he was just like, bleh, you know, going full tilt. So Jay's got a pop quiz for you.
Let's do a pop quiz and see if you got the information.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Hold on, everybody.
Yeah,
Hey,
hold on.
Hang on.
so this was mostly Discover, obviously.
Right.
And she's talking about how they will collaborate.
Right.
And chooses to go forward.
Yeah, guys, hold on.
So, well, I know he offered his credit card.
Right.
At what point now does she, is it now that she would bill that planning fee?
Yeah, she
just
booked
did it.
She just did it.
She
That's
just
what
did
she
it.
did.
Okay.
That's
I mean,
what she booked. Was
It was an
now
edit.
what credit card do
She-
you want to do?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, because to me, it sounded like he just, okay, if you need my credit card, here it is, whatever. And
Right.
not that she had to ask for it, so that's why. I
Right.
wasn't-
Now this particular situation came from a lead, and he knew that there would be a planning fee. He didn't know how much it would be,
Yeah.
but he knew that there would be at least a minimal planning fee. So he was prepared for that.
Yeah.
And then she just took it from there.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I didn't understand the part of the conversation about being applied. Does that mean that she'll show it deducted?
Right. So what she was going to do was actually apply it,
Yeah. That's
which
what
I would have gone like that to her.
Yeah.
Right. So she used it as a planning to go fee.
And,
Right.
and there's a debrief that she's going to do in a minute, so a
Right.
lot of this is going to be, it'll come out.
Come
yeah.
out.
So yeah.
Yeah. So take the quiz first.
Yeah. Yep. Right. Yep. Right back on the table. Yeah. Okay, everybody got it?
Good. Okay.
All right. Let's see. So, Shannon, how many children and what were their genders and ages?
Two children, a boy that will be 17 and a girl that was 15.
Yeah.
Right, gotta
Okay.
be 50.
Great. Great.
Did you notice how many times it took her to actually get that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But she got it.
Yeah.
And she was very patient about it, but she got there. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
it's almost like he knew, but we don't know, so we kept, I think they just
Right.
forget that we don't know that information.
Yeah.
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 Let's see. What is his budget, Bridget?
I honestly didn't hear a number. I may not have, he may have said it, but I didn't hear it, but I did understand, he said, I don't want youth hostel.
Okay.
And at the same time, it doesn't have to be like the highest end either.
Right.
You know,
Okay.
They don't need
Okay.
that.
Heather?
So
Yeah.
Yeah. Heather, what was?
He said that when he went to Scotland, he spent around 10K and wanted to.
Okay.
Right. He had looked at something in Scotland and it was
Yeah.
around 10,000 and
But he ultimately said what about the budget?
Including flights, 3,600 for flights.
What he said, ultimately, you'll have to tell me, is what he said. When he
Right.
wrapped it up, he said, ultimately, you'll have to tell me. Yeah, I mean, it was hard to hear, but so, yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, so it's definitely flexibility in his budget.
Yeah.
Right.
yeah. Okay, total trip length. Summer, what'd you have?
11 to 12 days.
Okay. What kind of experience does he want his kids to have?
Did you get a sense about what that was?
Okay,
Yeah.
Kip, did you hear that?
But the river part, he wasn't as concerned. He wasn't as, well, what I understood is that the beginning was active adventure, and the river could be, they could take a nap, as long as they saw some castles, he was gonna be okay with that.
Okay.
And then Paris was gonna be more of a combination.
All right.
of
Okay.
museums and
What about the level of experience? Yes.
Yeah, Debbie.
Debbie.
He didn't want it to be about luxury.
Right?
Yeah. And
They're not tour people.
they're not tour people.
They're like exploring their own,
Yeah, maybe there's like a little surprise hotel. What was his reference to the Chateau Lake Louise?
That's where they stayed. They stayed there one night.
Okay, okay, to kind of introduce them to that idea. Right. He doesn't want to spoil his kids.
Right.
That's the bottom line.
That's the bottom line.
Right.
But it wasn't as though he couldn't necessarily afford it. He just didn't want his kids to think that's the expectation.
Right.
Yeah.
But he did say one step above a youth hostel, right?
Yeah, he said not youth hostel.
He said not.
Step above.
Well, he didn't say a step above.
Yeah.
He said
He just said not youth hostel.
And I
yeah.
know it's
Yeah.
we've listened to it 20 times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We might have listened to it a few.
Yeah.
22 to be exact.
Yeah, Amanda.
What did he say when she said, so are you thinking boutique hotel? I can't remember if he responded or how he responded.
He didn't really respond too much other than saying that, and then that's when I think he kind of went to the Fairmont as an example of what we've done in the past and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
He also talked about, I thought he said Madonna.
He did.
The Madonna Inn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then they got into a conversation.
Right.
They've both been there, and I don't know the Madonna, but apparently it's got lots of character.
It's got,
Wacky and each
yeah.
room is different.
Right.
So he liked that.
So he was in the jungle rock room with
Yeah.
his kids and,
Yeah.
It's very strange, quirky, wacky.
Where is it?
right.
It's
Well,
in
you'll,
San Luis Obispo.
right.
Yeah.
You'll hear a little bit more about this
Yeah.
in the debrief.
Okay, Amanda, what were the kids' interests?
All I heard was sports.
Sports and sports and sports. That's, yeah.
She worked at that. She worked this.
The daughter is an artist.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. But it.
That's when she segued into taking her daughter.
That's right.
To get a museum pass and she just
Right.
to do
Yeah.
that.
And there too, how many times did it take her to get that information out of him? Because
Yeah.
he was all sports, sports, sports.
Yeah.
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 So she had to keep working at it.
Yeah. Brenda, how many days in Paris?
I didn't get that. I got the total length was 11 to 12, and I also got that 3 or 4 days in Austria, but I didn't hear about Paris.
Okay. Jody, what did you have?
Three.
3?
3 days.
Okay. Yeah. 3 to 4.
3 or 4
All
days.
right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
And she's never
Good.
talked to this guy before. This is from.
No.
That was the very first call.
Right.
No,
No,
there's no mother, right? It's just the father.
It's just the father and the kids.
2 kids.
Right, right.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
a couple of things that I thought were important in just sort of listening to that and watching it. First off, she listened incredibly patiently. Incredibly patiently. Got rid of, you saw her desk was pretty clear, and she was just heads down and taking notes there. She shared some good ideas, but she didn't share exactly what those ideas were, other than, the museum passes or something like that. Exactly. And she really got him to get into kind of his philosophy of travel, which was very important, I think, as well. Yeah.
Obviously, I've seen Amanda do things, she's amazing.
Right.
So I'm gonna say, here we are again, beginners. He kept referencing his friend did this thing.
Right.
And now, obviously, she knows what she's doing. In my case, I was thinking, I would have said, can you just email me which, did she say that? And
Yes,
then-
she did.
right, okay, so I thought I missed that part.
Yeah, she said, if you've got any information from your friends, feel free to send that along. That'll be helpful to me. But she also admitted that she didn't know some things.
Yeah. Yeah.
Here's a woman who's been 20, 30 years in the business
Yeah.
saying to a new client, oh, I'll have to do some research on that.
Yeah.
You know,
No idea what hut to hut is.
Right.
Does Virtuoso book Hut to Hut?
Well, let's find out.
Let's go to the debrief.
Let's go to the debrief.
I want to know if it's commissionable.
Let's go to the
look and
debrief.
see what happens next.
I have spent the past week and a half going back and forth with him via email, trying to set up a time to talk, and then we were supposed to talk earlier this week, and he didn't get back to me with his phone number, so I had no way to reach him. And so he emailed me like 5 minutes before the call. Well, I had already left for the day. And so it was kind of going back and forth. So I was like, okay. And with a cryptic email, it was hard to tell. Is this going to be good? Is it going to be not so good? But I think what was kind of neat about it and what I like about the Virtuoso leads is whatever they do to prepare the customer on the website they're okay with the fact that they know they're going to be paying a planning fee. Like hasn't been a problem for me. And you know, so
It was
Well,
nice
I
that
loved
he
how
well thought out what he wanted.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh,
He did a
that
lot of
was
research
awesome.
on himself,
Yeah.
on his own, but also, I think the awkward part of the service fee is saying, okay, now how do you want to pay for that? Where he was just like, okay, do you want my credit card number?
Yes.
So you didn't even
Yeah.
have to ask for
Yeah.
it. That was.
But you're dealing with a sophisticated person who
Obviously
and
well-traveled.
put so much time into a previous trip, so he appreciates his time.
And it's a complicated itinerary. If he just wanted 7 days in the Maldives, he might go, maybe not.
Yeah, well, and you know what though? I think what I normally do though, even if it is like a 7 days in the Maldives, is let them know what is the value of what I'm providing too.
Yeah.
I probably didn't charge enough for this itinerary. I probably could have charged quite a bit more, especially with the hut to hut part.
Yeah.
But you know, I was figuring at this point, let's give it a whirl and see, because honestly, I'm gonna have to do a lot of research on this.
How many hours do you think it will take to pull together?
Well, I mean, the way that I'm going to approach this is immediately finding which of the Virtuoso on-sites or VAS suppliers has a specialty in Germany and in Austria.
Tourist boards also. I think we've got
Right.
Austrian and Swiss and German tourist boards.
Yeah, so that's
the hut to hut might be.
that would definitely be something for them. So I don't think it'll be that much time. It'll probably go quicker than I think, because I will reach out to people who actually know this type of thing. The Paris portion I could do like the back of my hand, because I've been with my kids, so I know like what are the things. Getting a museum passes so they don't stand in line. You know, there's a couple really cool things that I love. You know, with Notre Dame and getting up to the bell tower, and you know, so I mean, I could add a bunch of that stuff in. So
Since he doesn't want all high end for Paris hotels, because Virtuoso, like I run into clients who don't have a Virtuoso budget but want to have that kind of experience, do you base it on hotels that you like that you've been to before, or?
Well, it's funny because I think I don't think his reasoning for not wanting to go to one of the high-end hotels, I think his reasoning is he doesn't want to spoil his kids. I don't think it's a price issue. Right, so I'm thinking that using a hotel, maybe the Esprit Saint-Germain, which is, you know, a little boutique hotel, there's a lot of value in that hotel in that they're going to get breakfast and they have canapes in the afternoon, and it's within walking distance of great restaurants. So I think I could use some of the Virtuoso hotels and still kind of make this work. The other thing I could do is use one of the on-sites that maybe has access to other hotels if it is a budget issue. I mean, it's going during peak season, so 10,000 is probably not that much when you consider it. But
Does that
you know,
air? I couldn't tell.
yeah, I think he's expecting it. But it didn't sound like budget will be a huge
Wasn't
issue.
a make or break.
No, no. So.
One of the things that I think is important that you'd mentioned to me earlier today is that you've practiced that conversation about pricing
Yes.
as well, about your consulting fee.
Yes.
So this isn't the first rodeo.
Right.
You know, you practice actually saying those words.
Yes.
So that it's very comfortable. Like you went through, there's 3 ways that I'm compensated.
Yep.
I'm compensated by my fee, I'm compensated by commissions,
Yep.
and I'm compensated by referrals.
Mm-hmm.
Boom.
I was
And-
wondering what the third one was going to be.
Yeah.
I was like, dang.
Referrals, that's money in your pocket.
I would compliment
Money.
you on that too. What a beautiful script. I mean, the way she said it was just so smooth.
Well,
so
and
smooth.
that's the key.
And that's
is
practice.
Like that is practice, because it didn't always come out that way. And then one of the other things that I practice is, what if they give me a hard time about it? So I already know the things they might say, like, well, gosh, I never paid a fee before, or, well, you know,
Will
I've
I
already
get that
done
back
some.
if I don't book the trip.
Yes,
Yeah.
and so I already have those down, and how do you respond, so that I'm already ready, like if that's the case. And
What do you say when they say, I've never paid a fee? The client that I called you about last week who was
Yes.
looking for someone for their business, and I said, you know, by the hour, and he went, oh, I thought it would be free. I was like, well,
Right.
they
Well,
used to be,
of
but
course.
for the service that I offer, and you know, she's a high
Yep.
contact client. So
Well, and it's, you know what, I usually will say I work very differently. I've invested 20 years into my career going to destinations, researching. I'm also part of Virtuoso, which, allows me to have amazing contacts around the world that you probably wouldn't even have access to. I also have a team of 50 other advisors in my company that if I haven't been to Salzburg or Vienna, I can go to them and I can get information. And I'm going to spend a tremendous amount of time. So, I provide a different service than most advisors, which is why you may have never, never had a fee in the, before. So, yeah, I'm ready for it.
and most of the time they probably go for it because it makes complete sense. Yeah.
And what's nice is they have a choice. So if he said, well, I'm not going to pay a fee, my friend already told me what huts to stay in, then I would, very casually say, totally understand, it's been nice speaking with you. Keep my number, and if at any point you decide that you do want to work with me, I'm available, or get back to me if you want to think about it. So I give them a gentle out so that if they do decide I'm not going to pay a fee, that's okay. I've only invested a 15-minute conversation, and if they say, you know what, I don't want to do that, I can do it on the internet. That's perfectly fine with me. I'm just not investing my time into somebody who won't invest in me.
You still have a good relationship with them so that if he does try to start it on his own and finds out this is way over my head, he still feels comfortable coming back to you.
Absolutely. So I don't want to insult anybody or put them off like, well, I'm not going to, well, if you're not going to pay me, I don't get that way with them. I leave them with a gentle, polite, well, it was great talking. Yeah, namaste. Peace be with you. Move on.
You also do a good balance of giving ideas without giving specifics. I have a bride last week. Well, where do you think I should go? And
they want to pick your brain.
You should go someplace lovely and spend more money on it. Call me when you want to, but.
That's good.
No, but just saying that, I was just there with my daughter and I have some great ideas of what you could do with your kids. So it kind of, you didn't give them the ideas, but
and for a single dad, you can add that, things that a woman would think about that he wouldn't.
Yes.
It's
Well,
a nice
he did
touch.
mention, and he mentioned his daughter does have an interest in art. Like he was talking sports, but bringing him to the art market in the morning so that they could stop there and see all the artists out painting the pictures in the morning, and being able to have that experience for his daughter. They can still hike down the Marmont, I think it is, and hike down the hill, and have that experience, but something his daughter is interested in too, because it's, the guys probably think, wow, we're going to do sports and hike and this and that. And Paris is a beautiful city, and for a young lady, definitely there are things, you want to see.
Right.
So,
and they can bike in Paris.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I tell you, the biking, you just rent the bikes on the street. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, he hasn't
And
been
it-
there since he was, what,
I know.
8th grade or
Yeah.
whatever he said.
And the Esprit Saint-Germain, literally you walk down the block and there's a bank of bicycles there. You slide your credit card through, pick up a bicycle, ride around the city and return it anywhere.
Yeah.
So you could
They're the
return
ones
it
who
at the
started it.
Louvre. You
Wow,
can
that's
you
cool.
can go into the Louvre. I mean, I did with my daughter. I took her, we used one of our on-sites and we did a scavenger hunt in the Louvre. So we went into the Louvre and she had to use clues in this book, and then the guide actually took us to the different pieces of art, and that was the art, and she had to find the art, but it got us to every single one of the major yes, but taking the train out to Versailles, or there's a lot we could do. So
I was going to say Versailles, but I don't know what.
yeah, I think it would be great.
You should do this for a living.
I'll tell you.
You're pretty good.
Great. Well, there we have it. Now I have to pull the trip together.
Now what are you going to do? Now where do you start? And I think that's kind of the missing link of where we are
Call
in the mentoring
Amanda.
program. Like,
exactly.
So now you know what
I
he's
mean-
looking for.
Right.
How do you even start putting this together?
You know what? I think I would probably start with emailing maybe the tourist board about the hut to hut and also working with the on-site first. That would be my first indication in Austria, is to go into VCOM and virtuoso.com and look for who is our on-site there, because the easiest thing to do is get the expert, and I don't know these cities, I don't know these areas. So I'll probably start there, and then from there I can figure out what to do. As far as Paris, I think I probably, in speaking with him, I think the Esprit Saint-Germain would be perfect, although the rooms can be small, but they have rooms that have a king bed and then a divider and a pull-out sofa. I know that because I stayed in it and used it. And then what we'll do is I'll use one of the on-sites for that as well. I'll probably
So
put
your
that
very
together.
first step is to go into virtuoso.com, search the destination, and see who you have to work with in that destination. So that's kind of the first step, first olive out of the jar.
And then when I email the on-site, I'm going to include as much information as I can as far as key information, as far as they like sports, they've hiked before, they want a bike. Do you have any other adventure suggestions? Because things like zorbing and, that you wouldn't even think of, I know they have these crazy activities. They also have the bikes with the motors now that are really popular. So I probably will give them a full description of the client and what they are interested in, so that they can make suggestions to me, because there's probably things I'm not even thinking of. And ask them, is there a river cruise for 2 nights? I don't have a clue on that. I know there's 7 nights.
Probably
And
day excursions out of
Sure.
Salzburg.
Yep.
To get on the river.
I feel like Arosa does shorter ones.
Maybe.
But also,
'Cause they're going up to
castles.
Market.
If castles are in his head.
Yes, maybe staying in a castle.
Well, either staying in a castle, or there may be more castles along the way.
Right.
On, in France, as opposed to a day out of Salzburg. I mean, there's Salzburg Castle.
Right.
But that's the only castle that they're going to see.
Sure.
As opposed to what he's remembering on the Rhine, which is just castle, 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 castle,
Right.
out of Heidelberg. That's what's in his head.
Yes.
So, so you have his expectations from back when he was in 8th grade,
Yes.
Right. But that was Germany, and that was Castle Row.
Right.
Along the Rhine there.
It would be cool for him to do that similar journey now as an adult with his kids who are young.
Right.
So, going back to Heidelberg, I was excited when he said, well, I don't have to just do Austria. I can do Germany or France. And, so at least it opens up the door if there's not what he wants there. But it might be cool to redo it as an adult with his kids.
Yeah, and to redo part of it, and then have the rest of
Yes,
this.
absolutely. Yep.
Well, he's got
So-
this hut-to-hut thing.
The
going on in his
hut-to-hut
head.
thing, that's going to be a challenge for me, because I have no idea on how you book a hut.
Well, and sometimes, I mean, you're
Yeah.
they may be gone already.
That ended abruptly. Did it end abruptly? Yeah. She's smiling. Yeah, you get the idea. You get the idea. She's up in Connecticut. Yeah. So we've got, who are our Largays? Yeah, our Largettes right here. Yeah. So they, she's awesome. She's awesome. Well, let's have a look at what happened next. Because now we're really in the design phase. So she has contacted an on-site. She contacted Panorama. Jay's going to show you what it is that she actually received.
You'll need to
yes,
share.
Question.
Okay, so just, pass one around and you'll need to share.
Okay.
So it is better to email and just include
You'll have
all
to
the
share, okay.
information and allow them to kind of spend some time getting back to you, or pick up the phone and talk to them directly.
Well, there's one of the things that
There's
she
not
said
enough
that was
everybody to
very,
just
very,
share, okay.
very important, and Jay's going to go over this when he takes you into VCOM as
Share.
well.
Yeah.
And that is to get as much information as you can to the on-site.
There you go.
So that they have all the information they can possibly have. And we have a
Just
form
you have to sit and share, look at
that
these
you can
together,
use.
okay?
Okay, and then you can email it.
to
so
capture
it's
that, and then
better
you
to
can email that off to them. Now you're talking about the same things. You don't need to pick up the phone, right? And in this case, who she's contacting is in Austria, I think. I think Panorama's in
Yes,
Austria.
it is. Yeah.
Okay. So you can see what came back essentially was this, an outline of an itinerary. Some suggested, I think there's some suggested pricing in there. That's included, and that kind of follows through on the things that she was asking for. But here's one of the things that's also very important when we're in that design and proposal place. Remember I said cut, paste, send it in an email? Don't do that. So I'm telling you, this thing is out of focus. Better.
No.
But it's out of focus.
Yeah.
The whole
Well,
thing is out of focus.
it's just blurry, and it might be the
thing. But what she did next in actually sending the proposal to the client was to personalize it. So Jay's got an example here of what they did next. Now, you can tell that this was a couple of years ago that we actually filmed this for them. She was talking about Notre Dame and a few things like that that aren't available anymore. But she personalized the proposal, and you can see that it is a proposal, and she's added in photography and a few different things like that to make it interesting and appealing. Now she might well have presented that proposal in Axis or in Travefy or something like that, so it could have been done that way. But you see how she took it kind of day by day, included photographs, and included, again, I don't think she has hard numbers there, but approximately what this is going to look like. What the tour options are. She took that map, she cut and pasted the map in there, but not one of the things that can be a real danger when you do cut and paste is if you aren't looking at it really closely, you might be passing along proprietary rates that are like net rates to you, or the price that you're paying as opposed to the price that they're going to pay. So you be really, really careful about things like that. Our point here is that this is personalized, okay? Now she may have to give him, another proposal, maybe another 2 proposals before getting down to the final thing. But she's kept it professional along the way. Now, yeah.
Why, for example, with the hotel rate, is there a range?
Because she's in proposal place. They haven't decided which hotels yet. So this isn't a final itinerary. She's still in design at this phase. So this is the first proposal that she's making to this man for.
But she's only proposing one hotel. The rates might vary
Depending on, they haven't even decided on the dates yet for sure. Yeah. Or room type.
So we don't typically, in a proposal, we don't typically.
It depends on the proposal. If you've got a hard and solid date and you've got some hard solid numbers, maybe, but be careful on the proposal side that you stay a little more flexible, right? Currency exchanges, all sorts of things like that.
Yeah.
That's right. So as I said, now Amanda is probably proposing these things in Axis, because I think that's what you guys use at Largay is Axis. But depending on the age of the person, Axis isn't going to be friendly for an older client necessarily. They don't like, what am I going to do with this? So paper, something like that, might be more friendly depending on the client, okay? You can send it in a PDF. I want to show you another way that a proposal was sent. This also from one of our friends at Brownell. Here's how now that's not all the details that we were talking about here, but she wanted to send a proposal that probably included a written proposal, but she included this as a way of introducing it. Right. So, you know, there it is, Brownell, a production of iMovie. Martha is the advisor. It's Bill and Jackie and their dream honeymoon, starring Bill and Jackie, you know, and Elephant, okay, and so on. And the Wildebeest Inc., casting by Wildebeest Inc., and so on. So there's a lot of different things that you can do. It doesn't have to be cut and dried. Doesn't have to be cut and dried. It can be presented in a beautiful box with tissue paper and, you know, bows and whatever it is that you want to do. Remember that what your clients are receiving from you, yes, they're going to experience this whole vacation, but that whole vacation is only ever going to live in their memory. It's never going to live in something hard. You know, they're not buying a car. You know, they're buying a dream.
Got 'em.
They're buying a vacation. So how you can make that special, how you can make that special in your signature style, you know, something that is appropriate to you. And not everything is going to, you know, include something like this. But I want to share a couple other things that I can't remember if, I don't think this has been in any of your homework yet, but this is about positioning value again, all right? So reinforcing that. This is a simple 4 nights at a hotel in Southern California, and the clients are driving to it. So enclosed is all the information. The property has many unique features. Help to maximize your experience. Your overall total savings is a value of over $1,400, and that represents the following amenities, okay? So the breakfast daily for you and your spouse, that comes to $60 a day. That's $240. You actually can get a hold of this. I mean, you can take a picture if you want to. This is the resort credit. You know, resort credits bug the hell out of people. But there it is. It's included and can be towards a spa treatment. The internet access, another thing that bothers people. So there it is. It's included. Internet service is included in all Virtuoso properties. Yeah, no extra charge. Valet parking because they're driving. Your rate includes a confirmed upgrade. Remember, we can confirm. We can talk about it if it's confirmed. For your entire 4 nights, that's $250 a night. That's a $1,000 room value. So she's laid it out here. The rack rate for this was $48.85. The package rate was $3,900, which reflects a $1,400 some value, right? The package, so here's the package that they got. Her consulting and planning fee was $400 for a 4-night hotel stay. She saved him $1,400, however, right? So total due, enjoy your vacation, look forward to hearing about it when you come back. That's positioning, now, not only her value and what it is that she brought to the table, but also just the straight dollars and cents value. Here's another example. This is from Ann Scully from McCabe Travel in Virginia. This is an FIT, both these are FIT examples. But she does something, she calls it, you know, she circles it in red, which is a fun idea here. So here's the day by day, you know, you're leaving Toronto and here you're arriving in Rome and you're at the Rome the Cavalieri and so on. The suite from the Alcove suite has been upgraded from Vista to the Alcove at €1,024 per night that she was able to guarantee. And then she says here, as a proud member of Virtuoso, it is our pleasure to offer you the following amenities. The upgrade from the Alcove to the Vista, €85 food and beverage credit per day, daily breakfast for 2. This represents an added value of €2,521. I don't care what she charged as a fee. That's a hell of a deal. Now, she did the whole breakdown here for each one of them. The Gritty Palace, the Villa Massa, the El Boro Estate, the apartment, the published rate, your rate, and the savings. The published rate is the published rate. Not a lot of people ever pay the published rate, you know, the rack rate. But that is the rack rate, okay? And when you're making available these special packages or special pricing that you're able to receive through your through Virtuoso or through other agreements that you have, That's a very important thing to point out, because not everyone has access to that. So benefits through booking with you, a proud member of Virtuoso, please enjoy with our compliments a total value add of $9,241 on this one itinerary.
So she saved him that much.
She saved him that much money off of the rack rate, right? And that all these things are included. I don't think it's here, but somewhere else where we actually talk about how negotiated on your behalf. These rates were negotiated on your behalf.
And what did she charge him?
I'm not sure what she actually charged, but here's the other point. So this comes to your client, circled in red, that $9,000 down there at the bottom. What do you suppose they're talking about with their friends at the club tonight? My travel advisor saved me, oh my God, and not only saved me that, but I'm staying at the Gritty Palace. I'm staying at, you know, the Cavalieri. You know, it's incredible what's going on here. And
Does she do that for all her clients?
she does that for all of her FIT clients.
So are those do you know if they're automatically generated or they have to put in the research and do it?
She does she has to figure it out.
I do a spreadsheet.
Surprise, surprise.
That way that's a currency converter too, because some
Right.
of the hotels will have benefits in euros.
Right, exactly. So it is an extra step, and the reason that people don't do it is that it takes time, which is also part of the reason that you need to charge for your time. You know, in order to actually be able to feel comfortable that you have the time to do it. Now, another thing that happens as well is that in this case, she's looking at some very exact numbers, but it may also be approximate. Okay, if you're in Italy and you're staying at the Gritty Palace, breakfast is going to be $50, $75 a piece. It just is at the hotel. Can they walk out in the street and go down the corner? Yes. But what you've done is include it. And they're staying at the Gritty and they're not going to go walking down the street. Right? Okay. Or they may want room service. Exactly. Exactly. Here's another, was this the same one? I think it's the same one here. Okay. All right.
So where
Good.
did you find the rack rate for someone that's going to look up those hotels on TripAdvisor and come back to you with like, oh, I found this instead? Like,
I think the rack rate is always going to be on the website. Is it on? It's not on Virtuoso necessarily, is it? All the rack rates are going to be on virtuoso.com as well.
And I'll also have promotional rates that if they book through the hotel website, are a lot of times like other sites too.
Right.
So
Right.
You can pick a non-virtuoso rate also.
Right.
For virtuoso.com, only you see that though. Clients do not see that. Clients only see the Virtuoso rates.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Right.
So but that way we have something in our back pocket in case we're going to leave.
Yeah, so you see all the rates that are available. They only see the Virtuoso rate. That is what they see.
Does only Ann Scully do that, or does she require all of her advisors? Do they all do that for all their clients?
I don't know I don't think everybody is required to do it. But Anne, as you have heard, you know, Anne is one of those super agents out there. You know, she's pretty amazing, and she has set herself up to work with, you know, this caliber of client, and she gives them that level of service.
Where's she located?
She's in McLean, Virginia. Yeah, she's McCabe.
Like Valerie.
Yeah, she is. Yeah, they're old pals. Yeah, exactly, exactly. Yes.
I have a question. I haven't booked any hotels through Virtuoso, but I have researched them. And when I go to click on the button that says book, it just does the little "you can't do this" thing. Is that a
Okay.
company setting? or-
That's a company setting. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So your company has to make that available to you. Yeah, yeah. So that's something that you'd have to do with your agency. Somebody else have their hand up? No? Okay. All right. What's our timing? Yes, go right ahead.
Something I want to share about itinerary planning.
Uh-huh.
So I planned an itinerary for a couple to go to Greece.
Uh-huh.
Greece and Crete. And identified hotels and all that jazz. And And then the husband came back to me, he said, you know what, I love all these hotels, but I think I can get a better rate. So I said, well, here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna sell you the itinerary, and then you can go and do what you like with the rates.
Had you already given him the itinerary?
I gave him a proposal.
So it had everything in it?
Did it have like hotel names?
No. It had approximate locations and pictures. And he said, that's a great idea. What are you gonna charge me? I said, $500. Done.
Mhm.
So that's what I did.
Mhm.
Sold him the itinerary, and he went and found, I don't even know if he stayed at those same hotels.
Right, right, yeah,
He just thought he could do a better deal, and I wasn't gonna go back and forth on it.
right, yeah.
He doesn't know your value, so then what's the?
Well, the value, you know, here's a quick $500 value. It's not unheard of anymore for exactly this to happen. Is for people to either people come with their, you know, kind of half-baked ideas, and then you know, flesh it all out. And it's like, well, but I want to actually do all the legwork myself. It's like, great, I'll sell it to you, and you can do it. Right, right. So most people aren't going to want to do that, but it is an option. It is an option that you can make available. Right.
Like tours and all that kind of stuff.
I said, you know, you could do a tour in Santorini, you could do a wine tour, but I didn't say where.
Right.
Who the supplier would be.
Right,
You
right.
didn't say the hotels, and you
No,
still bought it.
he still bought it.
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I think you could build a whole business model around just that.
Isn't that what the planning fee is? Isn't that the, whatever, that $500, isn't that what the planning fee?
Well, in her case, that's exactly what it was. The planning fee was $500, you know. She just hadn't taken it to the implementing the plan. Right,
You asked for
right.
the name of the hotels.
When he got the itinerary, finally, yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
so when he paid you the 500, you gave it to him?
Yeah, yeah, interesting, interesting, yeah.
Years ago, we went to Turkey and we knew nothing at all
Yeah.
about it. So
Girls,
we,
yeah.
found a guy who had written a book about Turkey, lived over there, and he, on his website, said that he would counsel for
Mhm.
$100 an hour or something
Mhm.
like that. And we did that, and he told us which cities to get to,
Mhm.
which flights went. I mean, he was amazing, and which agency to use to book the tickets and everything.
Mhm.
In Turkey. And everything worked beautifully. I mean, all the restaurants were great, all the connections worked. And he gave us all kinds of advice about not paying, you know, a cab, except through the travel agent because, you know, they
Right.
can rip you off. I mean, he gave us it was
Yeah.
really worth the money.
Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, you know, there's lots of different ways that you can do this, and there's and sometimes that's something that might make sense for you. Instead of, like you say, going back and forth and back and forth, well, I can sell you the itinerary. It's like, great. You might even want to have that be, you know, it could be, you know, part of what you propose to people. There's a couple different ways that we can do this. We can do all the planning, and you can, you know, do part of it yourself. You can do this or that or the other part of things on your own, or I can handle it. Another thing that can come up is, go back to my friend Arlene and her, you know, $200 an hour that she charges, you know, making sure that, okay, we're coming to the end of our agreed upon time. There's still a few elements that need to be done, you know, the transfers or certain private, you know, we haven't booked the, you know, the private yacht on the, you know, on the Seine or whatever it might happen to be, and she's very clear. I can make that. I can turn this over to you at this point, and you can finish this up on your own. You know, sort of like the kitchen's almost done, except for the tile behind the, you know, kind of thing. And you can do that on your own, or if you'd like me to continue, I can do that. Probably take me another couple of hours to get that done. Up to you. Oh, go ahead and do it. Great, okay? Yeah. So you never want to put your clients into a spot either. You don't want to be fighting with them about things. You want this to be a mutually, you know, collaborative process, and that they feel comfortable as well. Yeah, Amanda.
I had a situation, one of my very good friends wanted me to help book part of the trip. They're actually in Paris right now. They were going to see the Jaguars in London with friends, football. That was Sunday, and we lost probably. So they went to Edinburgh with their friends. His company, he retired, my friend's husband,
Mhm.
and his company, as a gift to him, sent them to the Jags game, and they paid for their hotel, and I think they used miles for the flag, I can't remember. But anyway, so they wanted me to do a full day tour, train Edinburgh to Paris, to London, and then plan their Paris portion.
Mm-hmm.
And I gave her two options. I said to myself, I've got to stop doing this for free for my friends. I gave her two options. I did it lower because she's a friend. I said, if you want me to book everything, it'll be $250. And this is also with short notice. This is like a month ago. Or if you want me to book the hotel, and you do the Eiffel Tower tickets and the Paris Muse, they wanted a specific tour, this is not virtuoso. And so she picked the $100 option. So it eased me into it with a friend. My point, don't be too scared. And then she saw the value. She's like, oh, well, if Amanda spends more time, of course she needs to charge more.
Right.
So now when she sends me referrals, they're going to expect to pay a fee.
Right. Exactly.
So
Yeah.
you've talked a little, these are some very interesting thoughts about friends and family, but I'm curious about, I understand the need for being very clear and saying this is how I work and this is how we want to do it. In some cases, family really expects and can be very put out if you don't want to do it the way they think it should be done.
Your point being for peace in the family? For peace in the family? Yeah. Yeah.
Friends would be fine. Friends would be like that.
Right.
That's easy.
Right.
But family, my sister, oh my God, she'll kill me. It's just not going to happen. So.
Yeah. Well, you get to you're the one who gets to decide. Right? Okay. And but I think it's very important that your sister understand how it is that you're setting yourself up as a professional travel advisor. Here is what I charge for my services, right? Here's the type of properties and the type of travel that I'm able to really leverage, okay? When they're looking at 3-star properties, you don't have any leverage. Or they want a 2-star something to other. You got no clout whatsoever. And that's something else. I was telling you that there's some who now put a basement to how much they has to be $15,000 or $20,000 or something like that, or 5 or 10 or whatever it is, in order to work with them. That isn't just to get in the way of nitpicky clients, but it's because where you've got leverage is in 5-star. Those are the relationships that you have. You don't have relationships with 2-star properties, and neither do your on-sites. Right. So you need to set yourself up at, here's where I operate, here's the arena in which I operate, here's what it costs my clients to work with me, and here's the level of service that I provide. Now, and then you can decide whether or not you're going to do that for your sister, complimentary, which is fine. That's up to you to decide. But I would make sure that they fully understood, because when she wants to share what it is that you do, because you're going to do a great job for her, she needs to understand that she needs to, talk about, here's actually what it is that my sister does.
I don't think she has a clue. I do all the planning now, and she's just completely oblivious.
Right. Yeah. Well, that's family. Yeah. That's how that goes. Okay. I think we should go ahead and do this.
Yes, we should.
Yes, I think we should. Okay. It's time for Paris. Woo. Okay. You guys have done a lot of work on your Paris itineraries, right? So it is now, it's 2:40. So I would say that for the next 20 minutes that they can decide amongst themselves, and then right after break, we've got a final one. What do you say?
Right.
Okay?
Right. So at your tables, you are going to propose your itinerary to your table. You're going to try and sell your itinerary to your table mates. Okay? And then you're going to vote on one of those proposals that will end up being your Paris itinerary. So each of you gets like 3.5 minutes to propose your
Lay it out.
itinerary. Then you have a table group. You have to decide which of those you're going to accept. And then we're going to put it up on a flip chart. And then in your binder, you have some questions about the itinerary and how you're going to reserve it and other stuff. We'll do that when we come back from break.
Right.
Okay? So what you're doing now up until break is pitching your itinerary, deciding on an itinerary, and then we're going to take a break. It's the whole enchilada.
Take the whole thing, right.
Yeah. Okay?
So,
you know what we're doing, right? Okay, 50 points off on the final on Friday.
yeah. Well, you're going to have to pitch it though, in
Okay,
the next
so
20
get
minutes,
yourself
so-
proposing. You get 3.5, 4 minutes per person to pitch your proposal.
Okay, so I put together a full itinerary with weather and.
That's unacceptable. It's not in a spreadsheet.
So, since they didn't give us exact dates, professionals, they want to reconnect, they want some relaxation time, they want to discuss interesting new oriented and charming areas they enjoy food and whatnot, both fine art as well as casual. They've been here before.
Jay, you know, something else that we could do is actually have them present this as a proposal. I mean, like, talk to their agency or whatever and lay it out in a proposal form. Kind of take it that one more step.
Yeah.
Is that too much for them?
It is, because I think then you're dealing with Axis or Travefy, and they may not know it well enough at that point
No,
in
not
time.
that, but in a printed format like this.
Well, they already have it, though. I mean, they have...
But not kind of, not, I mean, they've got it in spreadsheets and stuff like that.
Well, I mean, they
Or do
have...
they?
Well, I
Maybe
mean,
not.
they have... I mean, they have this. I mean, so it's in that form. Is that?
Okay.
But you thinking you want it more of a formal?
Yeah,
I think that
put
would be too
pictures
much.
in, stuff like that.
I think that would be.
Eh,
That's
maybe.
just me. But you can do whatever you want at one point here in the future, Helen. So
I don't have to fight with you anymore.
you will not have to have a conversation. You'll just have to do it with somebody else.
Yeah.
The next morning,
Bless you.
so, that's, and, it's gonna be done. I also went online to see what flowers were really Okay, so then you just choose the families for giving us blah, 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 that's what they'll see. They have their own writers and their own private guide, you have to take a license guide to Canadian. It's got a license guide, so you actually just need to go with our verify, which I'm paid to. It's long, and then they print, and then they have a massage, and then they've got a break, and then they have dinner at the hotel. It is a one-star Michelin hotel with, or restaurant with 4 topes. And so they're gonna do that, and that explains the chef as well too. And then in the morning, they've got time to go for a run or workout, and they've got a half-day walking tour called Paris Behind the Scenes. So it's more, so it's not a set itinerary, and you talk to the guide, and they take you to places within Paris that are not run-of-the-mill, they're non-touristy, and it's hidden buildings and blah, blah. So this is a full explanation of that, and who's gonna meet them in the lobby, and that's their phone number. And then at the end of the tour, their guide's gonna recommend a lunch or dinner, recommendations, so they can go do that.
So I just took the bus price and multiplied by 3. So I figured, the bus price was $175, and I thought that wouldn't be appropriate.
That's why I was wondering.
Yeah, so I'm the 15% commission, so I estimated that at $1,200. And I also estimated going to the private tour of the Dorsey, because she loves that, and Then bike tour to the opera house as well. We agree with everything. Wouldn't mind walking tour, 5-hour tour to Jimenez actually takes all day, I think, but again, a private tour rather than a train. A sunrise Eiffel Tower climb to Vergara, and a dinner cruise, and then the cost to get from the airport was included in the special. Yeah.
Okay.
I also did, one is through the 5th District, and the other one is through Saint Germain. And they're private tours, they're on, both of them on the Virtuoso website, and that's about 800. And we figure by that time, if they're eating and drinking all day long, they're not gonna really want a private dinner that night. So the night from the night before, they'll be good, and then the next day, we have a 5-hour tour that we found on the Virtuoso website to Giverny and Monet's house, and if you've never been, it is absolutely stunning. And then there's another little museum just outside of Giverny that you can also go to, and then there's another museum there. So there's lots of things to see in addition to the gardens and have a tour. And it's totally inspiring if you're an impressionist fan. So that's 1,200. And then the next, day 7, we thought we would sign them up for a sunrise run in Paris. We thought that would be delightful, and they can climb up Eiffel Tower, and then they would rest in the afternoon, and that evening we put them on a private dinner cruise. And that's 1,000, and then the next day they go to the airport, but we put in something before they leave on their afternoon. We put, because, yeah, you know what, I forgot to tell you, did I tell you about the private trip to Normandy? No, I didn't, I missed it. I was just gonna say. I missed my And then I also did finding the Eiffel Tower, but I could share last.
How's it going today?
Good. These first 2 days are my big days.
Oh.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
table.
Right in the heart of the budget.
Came up to
Okay.
And they have a tour in and out of, an 8-day cruise in and out of Paris. It covers Normandy. And it leaves, let's say, on March 22nd, a Sunday. And it comes out to, it's all inclusive, all the meals are there, $3,800 per person. So under the budget, it's covering, the 8-day cruise covers every site they could imagine, and Normandy. And having been to Paris before, maybe it's a great option.
You got 9 minutes
And it
left
also
to
be
get a
more flexible
decision.
on the time of year, so you don't necessarily have to go and
Huh.
everything, and we can go
Interesting.
winter season.
She made it a river cruise. Stephanie made it a river cruise.
out in Normandy, so it's a Chateau d'Auvergne, which again, you can get your upgrade on booking, and it's like a real, like an estate, a castle, and they do all day Giverny, they go and they also gives you a free, I think a free entrance into the Bayeux tapestry, so they could do that. They spend the night there, same amenities, and then the next day they do the full day private D-Day tour on the beaches of Normandy. Albion is a full day tracing the footsteps. And then there's a transfer back from Albion back to Paris, and I had them staying at an airport near the hotel, near the airport, a hotel near the airport.
We knew what you meant.
Which, depending upon what, okay. And then the next day they depart on their way home.
It's a good idea. We did that last time I was in Paris. Stayed out at the airport that last night, and then. No, we stayed at. It's a Starwood. It's one of the. It's right there in the airport.
Is it a Sheraton?
Is it a Sheraton? Yeah.
There's another option is to stay at the Auberge du Jeu de Paume,
Yes.
which is in Chantilly. So by the castle, there's a beautiful castle in Chantilly, and it's really not far from the airport, from CDG. It's maybe 15 minutes driving distance, so you can just take a taxi, and it's just beautiful. You feel like you're staying in a castle. So it's the hotel, Auberge du Jeu de Paume, is just right next to the castle.
Oh, nice. I like that. Yeah.
Yes.
To decide. They told us not to reach out for them, so
No, I know.
Yeah. Paris, I don't even know. Paris, I have really good relationships that I don't know on site. So not for Paris, but other parts of France for sure. Yeah.
I'm just
Mhm.
curious. In the Normandy beaches, you have a half-day tour, transfers back. Next day, this is awesome. So they do get a Montmartre Impressionist art walking tour. Okay. I figured they've done the museum, so they get some inspiration. Then after that, they have lunch, and they have in the footstep of the Impressionist art workshop. So now they get to put works of art. She gets to paint her own Impressionist artwork after getting inspiration.
Cool.
Then they go off to dinner, and then this is one of my favorite. So initiation to beekeeping and private visit to the largest urban garden on the rooftops of Paris with a romantic lunch from the produce and everything that you put together. A chef will then set up your lunch on the rooftop.
Cool.
And there's more to it, but I'm on a time crunch. But it's really pretty. Very pretty.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't even know about it. Super pretty.
And that's the Bubble Globe.
Bubble Globe does that one too. He's awesome. And I gave him kind of like a leisure day. They're young. I think I've done quite a bit, but I did add a champagne and French macaron workshop with a master chef. And the last night before dinner, I thought they'd take a private scene cruise on the Milano. Just a different way of doing it. Yeah. Not as nice and luxury as ours. And I think I got most of it. I did come over budget, but as Helen said, sometimes when you put a lot of things together, mine was $10,870 and
Not bad at all. Yeah. Good. Everyone add in
a
their
little bit over budget.
their fees. Yeah.
Yep. So
just their differences. Obviously, we picked a hotel. They were about like half the price, so like we're at 5,200 for either hotel. Again, included everything they wanted with the fitness center, the concierge, the Michelin star restaurant, and then I guess the excursion that I found that was interesting, again just through another advisor, was from Andy Swan. So it was both Normandy and the Impressionists. So that was something that kind of combined both of their interests. So I thought that was interesting. Found the D-Day Landing Beaches, which was a private tour, and it had service for transfers from Paris. And then the same thing, a Monet House and Garden history tour. And then I thought for something different was just the Paris private photo shoot experience to maybe
cool.
capture some pictures of them together in Paris so that they could take them back home with them.
Is that called photography or something? Yeah.
And then a champagne tour, again from Paris, so it included the transfer with the vineyard owner.
That's nice. Yeah, that's really nice.
Because my clients just did that. The
Okay.
champagne, where you go, and it was amazing.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Cool.
But you need to get a driver.
Right. Yeah, this one, it came with the transfer included. So,
Good.
Okay, so I put my clients in Hotel Letitia. They're new to Virtuoso. I've used them before. They have a art gallery in the hotel. That my clients sent me pictures. It's amazing, and they're Virtuoso. And they also include, if you book a deluxe room, they include your transfers to and from the airport, which is worth like about $180 each. They also have amazing restaurants. They have an insane spa, so you can come back and relax, and a really good gym. So it's adjacent to Luxembourg Gardens, which are the beautiful gardens. So for day one, I figured they'd come in, they'd check in, they'd have lunch, they'd go to the gardens, they do like for $100, they do a tour of the gardens, and then come back, relax for the first day, have dinner, and then the next day I had them doing the Continental Travel Museum, the Monet in Paris, because the Musée d'Orsay is different from when they were there last year because it's all been redone. That's a private tour. It's $502, and then they would have some free time. And then I thought maybe in the morning that day they would go to Montmartre area, walk down and see the artist painting and stuff. Then on the third day I kept it open because I didn't want to do too much for shopping. To go to the Champs-Élysées, to go take the boat ride down the Seine River, to go see the Eiffel Tower, to actually the Arc de Triomphe. You can buy tickets and you can go up top and to do that. And then even also there's a new Louis Vuitton museum. And that
I've heard about that, yeah.
buy tickets for, but they can, and I thought that might be something to suggest. It's supposed to be very, very cool. Then that night to do the Lido show and dinner. So in the Montmartre, not dinner. The dinner's not that good. So you do the show and you have dinner in the Montmartre area. And then on the fourth day, the Paris